Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 8th day of January. Big weekend coming up this weekend. Folks, I'm recording the game. I don't know what's happened. I know it's been on about 25, 30 minutes, probably 20 minutes because all the pregame hype in college football. But I would have taken Miami no matter what's happened pregame. Of course, you know, we did the college football show a few weeks ago and picked the bracket there. And of course, I had Indiana over Ohio State. Now it looks like it may be Indiana over whoever else. So obviously, I'm going to pick Indiana tomorrow as well against Oregon. So be an interesting game because that'll be potentially the number 2 pick if he comes out a number 1 pick between Mendoza and, of course, Dante Moore with Oregon. We'll see how that plays out per se. So that's my thoughts on the college football situation. And of course, next Wednesday, 6 days from today, I'll have the panel back by popular demand. The guys from Big Ten and Rich, of course, with myself and the Man New Yorker. I hope he got my text and everything. Looks like he did. He hasn't sent me anything back. But anyways, I also wanted to thank neighbor Roy, who came back on the program, him and his brother, Fred, the Bears fan. Of course, Roy's a big Steelers fan, talked about the playoffs and everything. Those guys are great. If you haven't got a chance to watch that program, go back and see it. Of course, I'll rerun that probably tomorrow, my guess is, or Monday per se. But anyways, we'll stand by. We'll take our first and only break, and I'll come back here with the Mad New Yorker, and we'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. Alrighty, then I'm back here with the Mad New York. Crowd likes you. They just want you to bring some more energy. I told him, I said, hey, listen, he's tired and, you know, he's got, you know, kids and stuff and playing hurt. I appreciate you. Oh, by the way, do not tell me anything about the game. I'm recording it. The Ole Miss Miami game. I don't know what's happened in the game. I would have
taken 14-10 right now. 14-10.
Yep. Oh, I said do not tell me. Oh, you're kidding. Okay, cool. Don't tell me nothing about the game.
No,
please.
Man, it just kicked off.
Good, brother.
Yeah, it just kicked off, so we're good. Thank you for having me, man. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, brother. Welcome to the program. A lot of firings in the NFL since the last time I've seen you. John Harbaugh was fired. Or mutually agreed to part ways. There's reports that, you know, he basically he wanted to keep Todd Monken, and the organization and management wanted to do away with Todd Monken. That's the offensive coordinator. Maybe something with Lamar Jackson, but Lamar hasn't said anything. And the fact that Lamar, last I checked on his social media, he didn't say anything about, you know, appreciate everything you done for me or anything like that. So there may have been a rift there with him and Coach Harbaugh. So he's available. And my question to you is, would he be a one that you would like to have come up and coach your Giants? Or with all these other guys available, who would you like to see come coach your Giants? I know they've contacted him, but he's not going to do any interviews this week. Next week, we'll hear something more from Coach Harbaugh. What's your thoughts about all that big development over the last few days?
Could it be that he's looking to get more than $15 million as a head coach? Could that be a situation?
Just recently getting let go. I don't know. Is that really an issue though with ownership?
Well, yeah, most definitely. That's money's always a problem. Money will always be a problem. It's a business more than it is a sport and entertainment. So I feel like anybody who signs John Harbaugh though is going to have to pay 15 to 20 million easy. Like I'm sure his agents already like, don't take no calls. Just wait on who else gets fired. See what's on the, see what teams are on the table. And as soon as they found out that he was not going to be taking any calls and any meetings, this guy in Miami gets fired. So, I think that's a situation there we got to look at. He's more likely to get hired by the Miami Dolphins because he has a relationship with Ross, and his brother have a relationship with the owner Ross through the Alumni Association at the University of Michigan. But if I'm his agent and I'm him, I know I'm going to get a big payday no matter where I go. So, and besides the payday, you want to go somewhere also that you have an opportunity to win. So he's not just going to jump at any situation right now. As far as my opinion and what I would like the Giants to do is, I've mentioned a few times already here with you. We talked about I want stability. I would like a coaching staff that is not thinking about going anywhere in the future except for being on the Giants team. If that means that they have to be an older type of candidate, then maybe that's something that the Giants have to kind of go back to, a la Tom Coughlin type of deal with the coaching staff. I would hire Antonio Pierce right off the bat as a defensive coordinator. I would hire Mike McCarthy as an offensive coordinator, and I would hire someone like.
Would you hire as the offensive coordinator?
McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I would hire
a bunch of older guys to take over.
Yeah, because you need stability. The guys who are playing for you need to know that you're going to be there, especially the younger guys, right? I mean, if the Giants and Sean are saying that these guys are young, we have a young team, then you have to have somebody who's older there who shows consistency and stability. And you don't get that on a young coach that just, that's just up and coming. You won't get that from them. And then I would hire someone like either, if he's available, I would hire him. I would hire what's his name? His name is Harbaugh. Yeah, for sure. I mean, John, I would hire three good coaches, and I would pay for that, because those contracts.
You would spend about 30, I don't know, 28.
The Raiders are still paying. The Raiders are paying 4 coaches who are not on the team right now.
Well, Bart Davis I don't know what he's thinking half the time.
Right.
So
it's not out of the box of it's not out of something that's.
Oh, that's a good point. Listen, I was thinking that today, you got guys like Cliff Kingsbury wanting to get a head coaching job. And, Colin Cowherd, he mentions the fact that, has some sources of air quotes that Kingsbury is just not good at holding players accountable, Right. And a lot of these guys are just you have to have some level of confrontation in you to be a head coach. Particularly, you have to hold your coaches accountable. Some guys don't want to do that, particularly the younger coaches that are on the offensive side of the ball. They're more like an Air Force type of guy versus a defensive minded guy. Is more of a Marine type, with the more in your face. So you got to find that common ground. So my point is, why don't these guys want to? There's certain coaches. I don't think Mike McDaniel's probably a head coaching material. There's some disciplinary issues that came up with him, the Dolphins coach there. I noticed he's been stuttering more and looking unsure of himself in the press conference. Now, maybe he did that before. Maybe he has a problem. I have no issue with that, of course. Right. If he does have a problem, stutter, whatnot. But it sounds like I don't remember him talking that way when he first got the job, when his confidence was swagged out, coming in with the shades on and everything, it seems like the job's beat him down a lot.
Right. And in the case of the New York Giants, the New York Football Giants, they can't have a guy that doesn't have any confidence, that doesn't have any like, you know,
so you don't want the Giants to hire Mike McDaniel.
You know what? I wouldn't even mind him instead of McCarthy as the OC. I would like a trio or a quad of winning type of coaches who have been able to get into the playoffs, been able to get to a Super Bowl, at least been able to compete either as a player or as a coach, right? And have that all be in common with them. All of these coaches, what they have in common, they've been in the Super Bowl as a player or as a coach or as both. Like, that's what I want as a Giant fan, to see that there. So that way these younger guys can try to figure it out from the coaches, get information from the coaches, like how do we get to the big game, right? Because the new football is nothing like the old football. And defense, you need defense. But it's not always going to win you the game now. Now you have to make sure you got a kicker that's hitting over 70%. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, you know, those kind of things you don't want a guy in there that's like, well, I don't know what's going to happen next. I mean, we tried doing this and we tried doing that. And that's what McDaniel was doing at the end of the season, was like, well, I guess we're taking Tua out because, you know, owner wants to see what we got in yours.
You know, something, I had Scott Morgenroth, and I think we talked about that before, but he covers a lot of the Miami stuff and the South Florida. And he said this a year and a half or so ago, might have been 2, and I still had his interview saved. And he's like, man, I would just franchise him one more year. You know, he's like, I'm not sure about Tua. You look at his injuries, and the fact is he's been benched. And if you watch last week's game between the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Bucks, I picked the Panthers. And that was a standalone game. It was in the rain. And I'm thinking to myself, Bryce Young can't get the ball downfield, you know, and he's limited on his athletic ability. He just cannot get and he's too short. I mean, him and Tua both, they're really not starting quarterbacks in this league. They're more of they're backups at best, you know, or maybe bridge guys. Tua will probably end up being a bridge guy this year next year because he's $54 million cap hit. Not that somebody's going to take it off, but they're just not really cut out to win big in this league. And you can make the argument, because their improvement, maybe McDaniel, after a little seasoning as an assistant, maybe he's ready for a head coaching job, because he did fix a lot of those problems. But maybe it's just tools, just a miss, man. He's just not physically able to carry a team to a Super Bowl or where you want to go as an organization.
Yeah, but what's not fair to McDaniels is that he lost his number one wide receiver.
Yeah.
Most explosive player on the team, aside from giving the opportunity for Tua, who's maybe doesn't have the best of the abilities that everybody would like him to have. But with the number one receiver, like, you know, who he lost this year in injury, what do you expect him to do? Like, and then on top of that, they kept Achane as a running back. It's not that he's not good, but
Achane's great. Yeah,
Achane is not bad. But the biggest problem that Miami had, I feel like, is their O-line to help the running game, to help, you know. And then they still had Waddle for some time, and then he was injury prone, like, in a few games. So there was no consistency for anything that Tua could do that would make him look anything like a starter. You know, there wasn't any tools there for him. But it's not that there's a lot more upside that he can bring to the table. You know who Tua is, so Tua has to have tools to make Tua be Tua, right? Yeah. And I feel like there's quarterbacks like that all over the NFL. There's a lot of guys out there who you feel, or people are looking at them like, oh, this is a second-tier quarterback at most. But they're still the best that they have in the moment. And once you see an injury to a tight end, to an O-line, to a running back, you're like, whoa, this team's not going to do it. Like, look what happened over here. The Raiders. I feel like the Raiders on paper should have been at least in the playoffs, right?
Well, maybe better than the number one.
Because they had the number one draft pick in the running back. They had one of the best tight ends. Tight end, right? Who blocked for his running back last year, and made some great catches. I mean, so there's always like it's hard to find a team that has what we always talk about, that depth. That if one guy goes down on offense, like it's not going to hurt you. San Francisco, they lost two games.
Have some depth this year.
Yeah,
miracle. But let me go back and say what you just said. I wanted you to finish before, but I also don't want to forget this point. You can make the argument. I think they started like 0-5 or something like that. Miami. Then Tyreek tears his ACL or whatever. But then they started playing well. You know, they started winning some games. They went up to Atlanta and beat them. And Atlanta was playing really well at home. Destroyed Atlanta. You can make the argument that he was the problem. A lot of these diva wide receivers want the ball all the time. And you had Waddle also on the other side. I think that was addition by subtraction with Tyreek Hill. I just believe the fact that they benched Tua at the end and realized, you know, it's Tua. I mean,
think about the reason they benched him.
And then upside to Tua. I mean, you got to watch his concussion issue. I mean, that was very scary. And he's a good guy. He's a good fit. I mean, a backup quarterback, they're making $15-20 million in some cases because they're good to fill in for 3-4 games. That's what Tua is good for. That's what a guy like a Kyler Murray, another problem. They fired their coach. I told you that also. I said, listen, I think that guy may be on the hot seat coming in, Jonathan Gannon. And sure enough, because of Murray, I don't think Murray's played a 17-game season since he's been here. You know,
No.
I don't think he's missed his, I don't think he's finished one set. He's too small, man. He's more athletic than Tua. And, of course,
he got a strong arm for being a small guy. He's got a pretty strong arm.
Very strong arm.
And,
Bryant, the guy, Bryce Young, the quarterback for Carolina. Yeah, he's quicker than him, but he's also very small. These guys are very fortunate to be drafted where they are. It's just because the NFL's adapting more and more college concepts. But the truth of the matter, it goes right back to the old school NFL that quarterbacks have to make. They have to be able to see over the line, you know, and they have to make precision passes. You want them to be 6 foot, about 6'5". Anything under that or over that, you're going to have problems with the players being, you know, too lanky or too short to make plays on a consistent basis.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, look, at the end, every team needs to soup up their O-line. Every team. There's not one team, I don't think that, you know, that every team should improve their O-line. So I think that's where the problem is. I think the problem is that there aren't that many guys that, look, how many of these guys coming out of college that are top picks? And not like they don't have to be first round picks, but top picks in O-line, they've already had 2 or 3 injuries in college. Right? Yeah. I don't know if you remember this guy. He came out of college. Everybody thought he was going to be a good an O-line. He got drafted.
Sam Bradford.
No, this guy from the University of Tennessee whose father played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Castillo.
Oh, you talking about an offensive lineman?
Yeah, Castillo. You remember him?
Yeah, I think it might have been Munoz.
Munoz. You're right, Munoz.
Yeah, I think his dad played for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think he got killed in a car wreck, if that's the same guy.
Yeah, but like Munoz, when he came out of UT, he was already injured 3 or 4 times in the University of Tennessee. So some of these guys, they come out highly rated, but they coming out with different, you know, injuries. And then like this cat, Sonarski, who got drafted to Tennessee. He came out. He get the first month he got an injury. So
the guard there, Peter Sonorski. Yeah.
So I mean, this is something that every team has to deal with. That's like depth is so important to have, and like if you have superstar wide receivers and they go out, or a superstar running back he goes out. Look at Indianapolis. They didn't have the running back last year, and now this year they had their running back almost the whole season. And it's a night and day situation. So
it goes more and more. You really don't need a quarterback to run too much. We saw that with Daniel Jones. You mentioned the Colts. It goes right back to the old school. I mean, you got to be able to read defenses and make precision throws to have a sustainable career and win at a long term in this league as a quarterback. You really can't, although they've adapted new things, You cannot really rely too much on your legs. You could get out of bounds and run for a first down. I've noticed Allen's gotten better at that. And I understand the tush push, and Brady used to master. He mastered the third and short, the quarterback sneak. That's one thing. But diving over the top of the line of scrimmage like a McNair or even more better example would probably be Cam Newton, where guys are jumping at your chest. And I'm thinking, he's so big, they're just bouncing off of him. And I don't know, 29, 30 years old, Cam was pretty much washed up. Nobody wanted to deal with him.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys 6'5" who came out who just the same thing. It was like you said, they got too much wear and tear. And remember the Auburn kid Campbell? He had like seven offensive coordinators. He was on 4 different teams and had 7 offensive coordinators in less than 5 seasons. And so, stuff happens, man. Stuff happens, and I feel like that's why
everything out of his talent. I think you're talking about I think his name was Chris Campbell or whatever. He used to play with Auburn back in 04. Yeah. Had a pretty good career there.
So, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that can happen on a team, So
yeah. So we got a lot of job openings. We'll see what happens. Anything else that you want to add on those guys? I mean, Cleveland changed coaches. The Raiders.
Yeah, I don't know if Stefanski would get what they got right now, 7 or 8 availabilities. I don't know if Stefanski fits the mold for any of these teams, to be honest with you. Like,
I know and you hear a lot of hype on him. Well, he was 2-time coach of the year.
I mean,
well, you can make that argument because the team overachieved, but the truth of the matter is, I'm not very impressed with this scheme. I mean, people say, well, you had cap issues with Deshaun Watson. Stefanski was just okay to me. Other people are very high on Stefanski. Some are trying to push him to your Giants or to the Ravens.
I know, and I'm just kind of, to me, I'm worried that the way the Stefanski, he had maybe 3 good seasons with 3 good Cleveland teams.
Yeah.
And they maybe made a playoff one out of
they won a game there, and then they went to the playoffs a few years after that. But I just never really, and I think he's also a little passive. I thought the year that Baker played with that shoulder injury, you could obviously tell that Mayfield was hurt. It's his job to step up and say, "You're not putting us in position to win games with that shoulder problem." Okay. Nice. I don't know if management was telling him, no, you can't do that, but he just comes off a little passive to me.
Yeah, look, when they went in the draft and they got all those quarterbacks, and you saw that when they got Shedeur Sanders, the GM and the coach look at each other like, why we even got this kid? I feel like right there he lost his job because he wasn't gonna go and be and do his due diligence as a coach. Like right when you say, and you're looking at your GM like, we don't really need this guy, but the owner wants him to be on a team. That's not good, bro. That's not good at all. So, and
he's been there 6 years. I'm okay with. I think the Mr. Haslam, what's the owner? I think he gave him plenty of opportunity, to prove himself as a coach. I thought they should have just played better.
I mean, well. How many people had Cleveland going to the playoffs this year?
No, I didn't have. I'm just saying they could have been a lot more competitive, considering the fact that they did have a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball.
That's what I'm getting at. It's like he's been on.
He's better than what they've had, but remember, we're talking about the Cleveland Browns here. The bar is very low.
How is that?
The league low.
But that's a problem with the owner saying, "Well, we're not like those Cleveland Browns." And that's not how it should be. It'd be like, we don't need to be like any of those Cleveland Browns. That's why New York Giants culture should be like, we don't care about making the playoffs. We need to be in the Super Bowl, or at least in the the last 2 games before the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, I'm surprised that your Jets still have Darren Glenn.
I mean, he was.
They didn't have a single interception. I think that was like 1933, the only team never not to have an interception in the season.
But he ain't playing the game.
Yeah, but he's coaching the game.
Yeah, but
he's a defensive-bounded head coach, and that's his side of the ball. You know,
I know it, but there's 3 games that they
look
played.
at what Brian Flores just did with Minnesota's talent. You know, so
Don't, but Minnesota has a pretty deep and a good young defense that it was underrated the whole year anyway. So Brian Flores just made them play past their potential. And he was a defensive coordinator. He wasn't the head coach. And I think that makes a huge difference.
well, the
So
Dolphins played pretty decent
like
defense.
if you're going to say that about Glenn, then what you need to do is you need to fire this guy, the Detroit Lions coach, because he muffed and messed up.
Well, they did fire their offensive coordinator,
Right.
and
So-
which is good. It's good. They did that, and no, I mean, I'm just curious. Glenn is way. I mean, most people would say he's way over his head. The owner wants to show some loyalty. I would try to.
Well, the owner wants to save
I'll
money.
say, well, there's no way I want to play under Aaron Glenn. You know,
I think the whole New York retrospect of like, I'm not sure if any agents feel comfortable bringing their clients to New York to be a coach on any of these teams, right? So, as much as what I would like, and for the Jets or the Giants, I'm not sure that they're going to get the creme de la creme of what's available this season. And this is to be all these vacancies available. This is considered one of the lowest top creme de la creme coaching available hire this year is what they're saying.
Yeah.
So-
It's not great, but it's if I'm the Jets, I mean, yeah, I would probably try to get McCarthy. I would go after Stefanski's over Glenn. He's better than Glenn. You know, Glenn is just it was a horrible hire, man. I mean, you know, he's down there with he's about a step above Jim Tomsula, who was the 1-year coach at the 49ers, you know.
Yeah,
so
here's the thing about Glenn, and this is why
he's just not a good head coach, you know.
That's yet to be seen because he hasn't been able to anything that he's touched this year wasn't his, like, maybe had 3 or 4 guys that was his picks, right? Everything before that so he's gonna get his opportunity, you know, and they're giving him what he's contracted for, because they're not gonna look, if you know the Jets, they're not gonna look to hire another coach and keep paying other guys money. They're not doing
like
right.
Mark Davis.
Yeah, so
yeah, it's I could care less. But I'm just bringing it up. I mean, they can lose all their games for all I care. I would, if I'm an agent, I wouldn't send my players to play under them. But I don't really care for the owner either. Hey, let's move on, man, because we got to get to the 6 playoff games this weekend, Chief. Man, I'm hyped. Carolina, Tampa. So you got that one. You're up 3 now, or I'm up 3. You're chipping away at the lead. Rainy day. Like I said earlier, Bryce Young can't get the ball downfield, dropping the ball half the time. But some kind of weird tiebreaker. I found this out that Sunday that if between the Atlanta game and the Saints game, the Carolina Panthers get into the playoffs anyways. Go figure, lucky guys. What's your thoughts about that game and going forward? Also, by the way, Tampa, like I said, I thought they fired their offensive coordinator. So Todd Bowles, not too loyal to the assistants. He sees the bigger picture. Kudos to Todd Bowles for doing that. But what's your thoughts about that game? It's kind of a crappy, rainy game.
Yeah, the rain came down and it affected everything that both teams wanted to do. Kudos to both quarterbacks in doing the last 5 minutes of the game, you know, pulling out for their own team, and you know, it came down to a kick, you know, that's I called that game. I said it was gonna be like 17-14 or something like that, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I think it was a touchdown game. What
I said was gonna be.
Yeah, but it wasn't a field goal game.
Yeah, so I was like, you know, I was surprised that it went to that point, and you know, Tampa Bay won, but they didn't really win. So
16-14. Excuse me, it was one field goal game. I'm surprised the Panthers played it. They come back. I mean, Tampa just did not have the offensive juice, man. But they hung in there. And, like I said, there's good coordinators out there. Mike McDaniel's out there. And of course, Cliff Kingsbury stepped down with the Commanders, which I think that puts Dan Quinn on notice. Detroit's looking at Mike McDaniel. Maybe Washington will look at Mike McDaniel. But maybe Tampa will look at Mike McDaniel and put him down there with Baker Mayfield and that group. Okay, Tampa, disappointing. They'll bounce back. They got a lot of talent there. I like Emeka Buka, Bucky Irvin, and of course, Baker's tough, and they got a decent defense. They need to get young in some spots, but a lot of teams do, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. Seattle, San Francisco. I was real surprised that we both picked Seattle, that San Francisco kept the game that close, 13-3 defensively, considering the fact that if you watch that game, Brock Purdy could barely get the pass off. I mean, he's snapping the ball, and the defensive ends are in the backfield. But hey, Seattle's defense really held them in check. What's your thoughts about that game?
That was the first time I seen McCarthy try really hard and not get any yards.
Christian McCaffrey.
I'm sorry, McCaffrey, and then that was the first time.
Just on your mind, not Mike McCarthy.
Sorry, McCaffrey. My bad. Yeah. That was the first time I ever seen him try really hard and not get any yardage, not get any yards after catch, not get going to get any extra yardage on any running plays. That defense was swarming. They were all over the place. I said they would be. I said they're young guys and they don't care about the plays. There wasn't that many. There weren't that many flags, which is good. Yeah. That was a great. I watched the game. It was a great game. It was a good defensive battle, even on both ends.
Because I thought maybe San Francisco could come back if they got a touchdown. It's a field goal game.
Yeah, and so it was a good game. This guy from the tight end for San Francisco couldn't get going either. George Kittle. Yeah, Kittle missed a few catches. Went off of his fingertips. A couple went off his fingertips.
Yeah. That defense was rushing pretty,
Yeah, and then when he got the ball, he would get hit 2 or 3 times as well. Everybody was hitting on Seattle, and it was real tremendous to see that defense just go off on that offense, and then you got to give it up for the offense too. Seattle running the ball.
Well, they didn't make a big mistake, and Darnold did not cough it up.
Right.
Kudos to Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Who would have thought that they was gonna, do what he did and have this kind of season? And I'm telling you, Seattle's a scary team to play, man. I wouldn't want to play them.
So they're the number 1 seed. We'll see what happens to them. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Again, I wanted to thank neighbor Roy and his brother Fred coming on the show last night, and talking about particularly this game and, of course, the Bears season and whatnot. But, it was a back and forth game. We felt like that Baltimore was the better team. I thought it was all the way up to the last second. Baltimore kicks a 40-yard field goal or whatever. It's 40-yard field goal, misses it wide right. My thing is, that particular game, I stayed up the whole game on a work night, and I never do them on Sunday night games. I usually go to bed about halftime. I'll record it, and I'll watch it. It was so dramatic, man. Mm-hmm. And both kickers missed. The kicker for Pittsburgh missed the extra point. Baltimore's kicker. So something with the wind there. It was a great outcome, though, for the Steelers, and a blessing in disguise for John Harbaugh and the Ravens. I mentioned the Bill Walsh thing. 10 years, get out of there. That's the former coach of the 49ers. Every 10 years, make a change. I think it all worked out for good. What's your thoughts on that game? Very dramatic game. Pittsburgh, Baltimore.
Yeah, Pittsburgh did a better job on defense than people give them credit for. The running game, it was going off in the first two quarters for the Ravens, but then the third and fourth quarter they weren't hitting like they wanted to hit some of these holes, and they weren't getting enough yards, and they kept Pittsburgh in the game. I kept telling you, remember, I was like, yo, the Ravens are allowing Pittsburgh to stay in this game. I texted that to you, and then lo and behold, and the last 2 minutes of the game, and Rodgers throws that throw, and you're like, it's
Calvin Austin was a great play there. It's a great play.
And then Lamar Jackson turns around and does the same thing, right?
Yeah.
He comes in and makes a great play.
Yeah, the tight end. Which I was thinking he was overdue. Likely was definitely overdue to make a big play. And I said, why don't he throw to Likely? I'm thinking that to myself. Why don't you throw to, and of course, bam, Likely makes the catch. And, Lamar played pretty well from the pocket in that game.
Yeah,
I love those throws he made to Zay Flowers.
Yeah, they had one more opportunity to run the ball, at least 5 more yards, or maybe, they didn't want to risk it.
Get a little closer.
Yeah, move closer, and then they didn't want to risk it, and they tried a field goal. This kid was, I think, more than 80% this season.
But he's a rookie.
Yeah, but he's a rookie.
Tucker, because Tucker had some off the field issues.
And it came down. But my thing is this, and people, it's football, but you shouldn't be depending on a kick to win the game, anyways.
Right.
The Baltimore had plenty of opportunities to score. They had way too many penalties that took them out of a scoring position a few times, and then on top of that, they allowed Pittsburgh to stay in the game. So you can't win a game if you don't play to win it. They was just playing to just keep the score up, and you can't play like that.
And I will say this, Rodgers made some good audibles in that game. He saw what Baltimore was giving them with his checkdowns, whether it be to Gainwell or Warren. A lot of stuff an inexperienced quarterback would not have caught on to. And that's really what got them over the top,
Yeah.
They still should have lost the game, but they wouldn't have been in the game if it wasn't for some of the plays in the audibles that him being a 42-year-old former four-time MVP quarterback could make. He kind of reminds me, and I said this at the beginning of the season when they got all this, of Peyton Manning when he was a shell of himself at the end with the Broncos. Of course, this defense isn't good as that defense,
right? And I'm gonna jump on what you said too. Like you mentioned that Aaron Rodgers recognized what was going and give it to him. He recognized that Kyle Hamilton wasn't in the game. Kyle Hamilton was in spine. Kyle Hamilton wasn't support.
Well, he got hurt.
Because he got hurt.
The game turned. So really, Baltimore just should have won that. It was just the Pittsburgh Steelers are lucky as all get out at times.
Yeah, man.
And they
a good game. It was a good game though. It kept us up.
It was the game of the year, if you ask me. I mean, I watched the whole thing.
I felt like that was a Super Bowl.
Don't get me wrong. I love to see the Ravens lose. I just had to call balls and strikes. I was just about to turn it off, and then I saw that he hit it. I said, I'll watch a little bit of the post game and hear Chris Collinsworth go crazy. But Mike Tirico said, "Hey, listen, there's some guy, some priest or something, spraying holy water around the goalpost. That's what helped Pittsburgh out." And I said, "Well, wait a minute." I got thinking when they played that, Pittsburgh missed the extra point, the possession before that, so the holy water helped out on the other side as well. They just didn't make a play, So you got to hit that field goal. But it was a young kicker. It kind of reminded me that deer in headlight look that the Vols kicker had against Georgia way back in the early part of the season, which still kind of makes me queasy just to think about it, because they should have beat Georgia on that play.
Yeah,
I wasn't too sick because me and you picked Georgia, and I don't ever want to be wrong with my picks, even if it's a team that I want to win.
Right. I do the same thing. I gotta call what it is, but you
gotta call umpire, brother. You gotta call them balls and strikes. I guess that'll go ahead and transition here. We got 6 games. I guess we'll just do them in the order that they'll be played. Carolina will rematch against the LA Rams. They'll be at home. This will be on Saturday, 4 p.m., 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central game. Carolina actually beat them early in the season. If you remember, about 6 or 7 weeks ago, the Rams come off that big win over Tampa when we thought Tampa was good and going to run off with the South. And Carolina, on a short week, got humiliated by San Francisco on Monday Night Football. My opinion of that is the Rams went in there. It was an early start time. They simply went in there overconfident. Stafford threw some interceptions. Bryce Young got hot. Rarely, but he did. That T-Mac is a great pickup, by the way. Great draft pick to Terrell McMillan. So that's what happened in that particular game. Now they have Devontae Adams did play in this game. We have a fresh Devontae Adams, who's an older player. The Rams looked pretty sharp last week. They got off their losing streak, and they're 10.5-point favorites in this particular game. I think they come ready and focused in this particular game, and I think they win 31-24. The Rams will move on to the next round. It'll be an interesting game, but the Rams will move. I'm not sure if they cover that 10.5 on the road. They might. What's your thoughts about Carolina hosting the LA Rams? Any shot for an upset there? And
I feel like this might be the upset of the season. Wow. And I say it because everybody talks about the Rams offense, but nobody talks about the Carolina Panthers. Young, quick, fast. Secondary. Right.
They got a pick. I think they got a pick 6 in the other game.
They have given all these teams who have top-rated quarterbacks fits.
Yeah.
And they have 2 guys in the front that don't get as much like recognition as they should. So this defense, I'm not saying it's the best defense in the NFL, but they're in games for a reason. And I feel like Stafford, if he don't go and put if they don't go and blow out the Panthers in the first 2 quarters, this game is over for the Rams, because the Panthers they was like the Pittsburgh Steelers in that game. How they did with Tampa Bay. They was just stretching them out.
Yeah.
Third and long. They're gonna do that to the San Francisco. They're gonna do this and to this Rams team.
Okay.
And if the Rams don't play their game and they don't blow these little kids out of the water, they're gonna get overwhelmed, man. This secondary is not to be fooled with.
What's gonna happen in the game, Chief?
I feel like I'm gonna call my point score. It's gonna be 27-24.
Who's gonna win?
I feel like the Panthers might get this one.
Are you going to predict are you calling for the Panthers to upset them?
Yeah, I think so.
Because you're calling for the upset.
Yeah, because so Devontae's back, but we don't know to what how healthy it is. They're gonna.
Let me talk you out of it. I'll take that win. You was getting close on me. If you calling for the Panthers they're at home. You never know. They did beat the Rams earlier this year. They've got an advantage to the audiences. Their receivers, I think the other guy's Coker. Well, you know about T-Mac.
Right.
They got 2 They have an advantage against the cornerbacks for the LA Rams. That's the weakest link.
And they got 2 running backs. Robert, they got 2 running backs. They don't got 1. They got 2 dingers.
Chubb was pretty good, but I really like the year that Rico Dowd's had. Particularly.
And he hasn't gone off in 2 games.
Yeah.
So he's due for a good game.
Yeah. But also the Rams do have Tyler Higbee back. And that Colby Parkinson's pretty good. These came out of nowhere. That little tight end they got.
I feel like what I said to you is giving you second thoughts about picking the.
No, I picked the Rams straight up. I was just double checking to make sure you're not trying to play word games with me. You're saying the Panthers are going to win 27-24.
Yeah, and I feel like Stafford's going to get hit once or twice.
I'll replay it for the audience, and it'll get a lot of views if that's I'll play it for the program.
Yeah, there has to be an upset that's like this team is young and they don't care, man. When you're young, you just play to play. You don't have no memory.
You're saying that they're going to play loose.
They're going to play loose and they're going to have fun, and they're going to play for this quarterback. I ain't never seen this defense.
They don't play for him. I just think that he's so limited, man.
I know that's another thing. Yeah. These guys are like, we have to. this team gives the Panthers the opportunities to kick field goals at close range and have short field advantages. And one of the problems that the Rams have had in the past is that they play down to the teams that they play to instead of play
There's
up.
no way they do that in the playoffs. But hey, you pick the Panthers. Don't let me talk you out of it.
I'm not. No, I'm good.
The Rams, 7 o'clock. This is going to be a really good game. This game gave me headaches today when I'm coming home and I'm sitting there thinking about this game. I'm analyzing every single player on both injury reports. Is the Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears, the rematch. We talked about it last night with Fred, neighbor Roy's brother. But the Packers are healthy now. You know, they don't have Michael back, but they're going to have Jordan Love back. LaFleur gave pretty much everybody the week off last week, including Josh Jacobs. Jacobs said, "I feel as good as I've been 6 weeks ago." So that's the running back for Green Bay. I don't know if you remember that last game on Saturday on December 21st, the Saturday before Christmas when they played. Malik Willis was in the game. Love got knocked out of the game. Yeah. Malik Willis comes in, and they had to get an onside kick, the Bears did, to win this game. You know, they got it. Lucky for them. But all these guys are back and healthy for the most part. Now, I'm talking about the Packers. Now, the Bears will have Rome Odunze back, who didn't play in neither game. So that's huge. That's a true number one receiver and one of the favorites. So they've got Luther Burden, Colston Loveman, Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore. They got several targets there for Caleb Williams to throw to. I just don't think he can get them all the ball. On the flip side, you've got Christian Watson, you've got Josh Jacobs, you got Musgrove, you've got Golden, you got Wicks, they've got Romeo Dobbs. They've got some targets too there for this Green Bay Packer team. My thing is, I do think that the Packers, being this fresh, they're going to come back, revamp. They're actually, again, like I said, a 1.5 favorite on the road. I think they win this thing. Packers control the time of possession and the ball. 24-19 Pack win on the road at Chicago. I wouldn't be surprised if it went the other way. It's a very hard game for me to call. There's some injuries there in the secondary of the Bears, but they're in pretty good shape. But they did lose last week to the Lions there. So, and they're on the 2-game losing streak themselves. The Packers on the 4-game losing streak, but the Packers are rested and rejuvenated. I like the Packers 24-19. What's your thoughts about that game?
Yeah, I think this game is going to be Chicago all the way. I think that
okay.
I'm not a big fan of Love. I'm not a big fan of LaFleur. I don't. They're too passive. They play in the game. They just play to they don't have a good flow. Even when Love wasn't in and they have Malik Willis, he really didn't maximize Malik Willis's potential in anything that he did. And I just feel like Chicago is the better team. They have guys that want the rock. Caleb Williams doesn't make too many mistakes. And that Packer defense isn't the same defense that we saw 4 or 5 games ago. So I'm not saying that they don't have players, but that's just saying because they've lost 4 games in a row. Where are they going to get their confidence to play this game?
Yeah.
About that. Like, you coming off of 4 losses, where are you going to get a confidence?
They lost a player mid-game, and that was that Denver game. A lot of fluke plays in that Denver game. Then the next game, they lost Jordan Love, right? And then they played the Ravens without Jordan Love. You see what I'm saying? And then last week they benched everybody, so it's explainable.
No, I mean, but we talked about this about having a quarterback that should be a second-string quarterback. I feel, and I've always said that Jordan Love is more of a backup than he is a starter. So you're going to see the difference in the playmaking right off the bat, because a guy who likes to win and knows how to win, someone like Caleb Williams, is going to turn it up another notch.
What's the score then?
I think it's going to be Chicago 32, the Packers 27.
30. Oh, you said it was going to be a blowout. That's only a 5-point game.
Yeah, no. I'm not, it's still a playoff game, but it's gonna
look like it's gonna be 32-10.
No. The Packers will score because the Packers have Josh Jacobs. He's gonna get over 100 yards, but he can't be the one carrying the team this game. This game is literally on Love's shoulders, and he doesn't have the capacity to take this game and
have the shoulders. Okay, I got you. Okay, Buffalo will be playing down in Jacksonville. Jacksonville's been red hot. Buffalo also gave Josh Allen the week off. James Cook, the running back there, he only had 2 carries. I wouldn't even gave him 2 carries last week, but he only had 2 carries, so he's going to be fresh there. But Jacksonville, number 1 rush defense. Now, overall defense, Houston, a fellow division team there, has all the defensive stats except for run defense. Jacksonville, very good run defense. This game will be played down in Jacksonville. I did make a note that their left tackle, this Cole Van Layman guy, hasn't practiced today, and today's Thursday. That is a little concerning for the Jaguars right there. But I look at a team like Buffalo, who normally at this time of year, they seem to have a flood of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. They seem to have 2 or 3 linebackers out. This year they don't. Matt Milano, healthy, very good. Now they've got Joey Bosa. This is what they brought Joey Bosa in for. He didn't play last week. He's going to be playing. This is a big pressurized game for Buffalo. Buffalo did beat Jacksonville last year. Now it's 47-10. That was with a different coach and everything. Different scenario. This is down in Jacksonville. This was a hard game to pick. I don't know why Buffalo's a 1.5-point favorite playing on the road, but I think they do go down there and pull it off. Jacksonville, they're 20th in run offense. They don't have the best running game, so they can't take advantage of that Buffalo run defense. But the Bills, this is the biggest game of the week, and they're putting it on 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central on Sunday. I can't wait. 27-23, Bills win a close one. What's your thoughts about that game?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with Jacksonville over the Buffalo Bills. This is the worst team that Allen has had on defense and offense. Statistics wise, yeah. And it's he's going to have to carry this team. He's got more yards than his running back, which is sometimes.
Well, he does not this year. I know that's not true. I know Cook's got more rushing yards. And, I don't know if it'll matter because this is a number 1 run defense. So
right, that's what I'm saying. So I feel like these young Jags, there's something different about them this year. They need to stay away from trying to come back to win the game. They need to just move forward and get points. And I feel like they'll be able to do that. This game's going to be really close. It's going to be, a lot of penalties and stuff. Because Buffalo's good at that. And I think it's going to be 24-21. The Jags win by a field goal.
Okay. I wanted to let the audience know this. A little bit of a bold statement, but not really. The winner of this game, I do think, will get to the Super Bowl from the AFC. Yeah. Yeah. Judging by the way Jacksonville played up in Denver, judging by Buffalo's comeback against New England, I do think, Allen's looking at this like, man, no Joe Burrow, no Lamar Jackson, no Patrick.
He can't do nothing. He don't play the game himself. That's a problem.
And I look
at that defense is so weak this year.
In their pass rush, I do think that. By the way, here's another fact for you. They got the best pass defense in the NFL. I don't know why they're running. I don't say this. Jacksonville could win. Jacksonville probably should be favored. Sean McDermott will be fired. If I'm the owner, if they lose this game, it's on McDermott, and I'm calling Bill Belichick. I know he said he don't want to come back to the NFL, and I'm going to say, hey, listen, you and Brian DeBall would be great up here. The Lombardi Trophy's waiting on you, Bill.
No, man, that team will again. I keep saying it.
They're just a different ownership up there. They're not very aggressive.
It's a tough location to play in. that listen, I've said this already, and I keep saying this. Joe Burrow and Allen will never win the Super Bowl on those teams that they're on. They just won't.
Well, that could be very well the truth. Burrow may try to push his stuff out of town next year, and
Allen's loyal. Allen's going to stick it out. Unfortunately,
McDermott and they lose. I think they'll probably get to the Super Bowl, but they were my preseason pick. Who knows? I'm not in love with McDermott. They should have tightened that defense up. They should have made a trade at the trade deadline to tighten that. Then they didn't do that. But there's a chance they can get Ed Oliver back too if they get past this round.
Ed Oliver, that's who you hanging your.
He's helping your run defense, man. They're very close in some spots. They can use another playmaker at receiver, but other than that, offensive line, pass defense. Run game, they're the best running team in the league. They finally got the memo when I sent them that memo. They need to run the ball, and it doesn't need to be Josh Allen. Okay, 3:30 Central, 4:30 Eastern, Sunday. San Francisco travels to Philadelphia. It's a 4.5-point spread. I just read this today, folks. Here's a little bit of hope that may keep this game interesting. May, in air quotes. Trent Williams looked pretty good today practicing. That's the left tackle for the 49ers. We just talked about how these guys are they look like those other backup tackles. I think his name was Fezzik. I mean, those pass rushers for the Seahawks were just running past these guys like they wasn't there, He looked pretty good. I saw some film of him limited in practice. I think Trent Williams will play, but the Eagles, they also rested their starters. I like fresh legs there. The Eagles probably got, even though statistically they don't have the best defense, I think player for player, talent, front, middle, and back, they may probably still got the best defense. Front, middle, back, cornerback, player for player, depth. And I just got a feeling their defense is going to hold them in this game. And I don't know if Trent Williams may retweak that hamstring. Okay, it's a hamstring. That could be catchy, So I'm just not going to take that chance. I think Saquon Barkley has a big day. I think all those defensive injuries, they should be, even though they're not the best coach team, I think A.J. Brown should be able to get open and make some plays for the Eagles, 2014, Trent Williams makes this game interesting. I'm not in love with it. But I do think the Eagles win. And I hope I'm wrong because I picked the 49ers in the preseason to get the Super Bowl. What's your thoughts about that game?
Yeah. It's time for the Eagles to run the ball, control the game.
Yeah.
And their defense is good enough to stop Purdy and the hurting offense that they have. I don't think the 49ers will score more than 24 points. So I think that this game the Eagles are going to win 28-21.
Okay. So you're picking Eagles. I'm picking the Eagles. We agreed on that one. I didn't know. You look like you may go with the Niners. That's okay.
No,
I hope you're right.
49ers, they did a good job getting to where they're getting. A lot of kudos to them. They're one of the most unbalanced teams that were able to just play next man up and show the NFL that you can win games with guys that come off of your bench and come off of your practice squads. So. It's possible. You just gotta, at the end of the day, you just gotta play the game.
Talking about the 49ers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But that's not gonna get them to the Super Bowl. So.
No, I'll say this. Like I said, Trent Williams, if he plays the whole game, that Robert Saleh, by the way, he's supposed to interview for the Titans. I don't know if I want him coaching the Titans as a head coach, but he's done a good job holding the Seahawks to 13 points. That. If you keep that number in mind, and the fact that the Eagles have 2 or 3 drives where they don't even get a first down, they're just like so vanilla sometimes. If they let the 49ers hang in here,
right,
13-10 late, and the Niners got the ball late, if I'm the Eagles fans, if I'm Jamie, I'm a little nervous because the last time they played, the 49ers went up there and beat the crap out of them. Now, of course, they're fully healthy then, and they had Joey Bosa, Fred Warner, and all that. Defensive, that's a different story.
I mean, Fred Warner going to play this game?
There's a possibility he could play in the next few weeks. He's running around. He's not going to be activated. But if they get past this game, that could be interesting because when Purdy has time, they were the hottest offense for about 3 or 4 weeks there, man. They weren't even punting the football. That's why I was so surprised by Seattle's defense played that well, holding on to a field goal last week. I will say this next game, man, and the audience, this is a very, very close second to being the best game of the week. I think Jacksonville Buffalo will be the best game, but the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, Mike Vrabel, 2 competitive SOBs going at it. Sunday Night Football in Foxborough, Massachusetts. There with probably Drake May, probably the way he finished, wins the MVP this year. And by the way, they'll have Will Campbell, the left tackle, back for the New England Patriots. Here's one thing I'm a little concerned about. They've had some other linemen, offensive linemen, that got sick this week and they haven't practiced. My guess is they probably got some kind of flu bug or something, and Vrabel's going to isolate them and bring them in later on probably Saturday, IV them up Sunday night, and let them get out there and rock and roll. Vrabel hugs every single player when they come back in. They're not going to let Coach down. I think these guys will play. Meanwhile, Jim Harbaugh did rest his starters as well last week, and they almost beat Denver anyways. That was crazy. But Omarion Hamilton, he has not practiced this week. I think he's banged up. I don't know if he's going to play. That's our running back. But they still got this Vidal guy and whatnot. This is going to be an airtight game. I love this game. You know how competitive Jim Harbaugh is. Good to see him back in the playoffs. They're fresh, but they still have those 2 tackles out, and I'm still concerned about that. It's in Foxborough. I like the way Drake May's playing. I like that offense around him. They're just a little bit healthier. Last-minute kick, by the way. And Milton Williams is back. Also, he's got a few games under his belt for the Patriots at defensive tackle. 23-20 Patriots win, last-second field goal. Kind of like old times with Adam Vinatieri kicking for the Tom Brady-led Patriots. A lot of Patriot haters don't want to hear that. What's your thoughts about that game?
Yeah, I haven't been big on the Patriots all year. They've been always proving me wrong, and if they can do it this year, fine. I'm not gonna, my heart won't hurt. I just think that even though they're a young team, and I always commend young teams for being quick, and you need to be young in the NFL to be competitive. This team is like one season too young.
Okay.
And I'm not knocking them in any way that saying that they can't win, because they should win this game. I haven't been a big fan of Harbaugh and what he's done with the Chargers either. I think that team's a little bit older, and they should have made some moves to be a little bit quicker.
Yeah,
so I think this game, I think the Patriots will probably win this game, and because it's a home game too, so they have the advantage.
Yeah.
As well, being a young team and a home team, that helps a lot. So it's probably gonna be a close game, man. I think this game, because it's a playoff game, the Chargers are gonna go in there and try to do things. So this game will probably be like 28-27, something crazy. You're gonna see
the Patriots, right?
Yeah, the Patriots. You're gonna see a safety for sure, because that defense is gonna ball out. So
excuse me. Yeah,
I feel they'll get a safety, maybe, or even a fumble recovery. So it's gonna be close though. It's gonna be a close game.
It'll be a fun game. I cannot wait. Monday night, this will be a pretty good game. You look at the Monday night record with Mike Tomlin. It's very good. They've had an extra day back to rest since last game they played. Sunday Night Football, they'll have DK Metcalf back. It is in Pittsburgh. However, they're playing against Houston, the number 1 points allowed defense, the number 1 yards allowed defense. And you saw the holes in that secondary of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love Nico Collins, fresh Nico Collins. They got a guy named, I think his last name is Higgins. and they got a Hutchinson. These are two young wide receivers that are playing off of Nico Collins there. Sorry, Roy. I think now it's in Pittsburgh. Anything can happen. And the refs kind of let them get away with Bush League stuff. But though that big weak secondary, I think C.J. Stroud in year 3, he's relaxed enough. They come off and get the win. 24-20. Houston gets the road win. What's your thoughts about that game on Monday night? That's the last game.
There's going to be a regular old Pittsburgh type of game. Run the ball, try to run the clock out.
Yeah.
Both teams are going to play this. They're going to play like each other. They're going to feed off of each other in this game, and it's going to be long and drawn out. And one mistake's going to switch the whole game out.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if by Bush League you mean Stroud might not make it through the whole game, they at least have
they'll get away with some late hits or whatever, and then the refs are not going to throw the flag.
Which might happen. And I will say this: if that does happen, the Texans have an upper hand because their backup is just as good as a starter.
Well, I don't know if Mills is good as Stroud, but he's not terrible.
Mills has a better relationship throwing the ball to Nico Collins.
Okay. I don't know if that's true, but I'll take your word for it.
I'm gonna tell you that, like, with the what was it, 3 games or 2 games that Stroud missed, and Collins is going off with Mills. Mills has a nice touch to his throw.
Okay, so who you like in this game?
I think it's gonna be one of those drawn out games. 17, it's gonna be like 17-14, and Texas is gonna win.
Texas gonna win. We're holding our breath there.
Yeah.
Bad New York, everybody. Anything else you need to plug real quick though? We're about 6 minutes over.
I mean, I'm gonna try to get this new. A lot of stuff is happening for the Yankees and the Mets this winter, and I'm trying to get everything settled. And I was gonna bring in some interviews, but I'm gonna probably have to hold that off until the beginning of the season. So, but I'm working on putting that out before Labor Day weekend. So,
all right.
No. I'm gonna try to get it done because I'm heading to Canada for a Pokemon
you mean
tournament.
Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day.
I'm getting ready for next weekend to. And I should be able to do the show with you, but I should be in Toronto by then.
Okay. Remember, we got the Wednesday show with the Big Ten and Rich guys. We'll talk about the national champion. Hopefully, you'll be able to make that one. And
I'll be there.
Awesome, man. New York, everybody. Thank you, man. Have a good week. All right, everybody. Enjoy the games, and I will see you next Wednesday with Big Ten and Rich. And, of course, you just heard the Mad New Yorker. Have a good night, everybody.